Well, hey everybody, it's your good old pal EmptyHero, and today, because the talentless diversity hires at YouTube have been far too busy marketing black dicks to children to finalize the deletion of my channel, we're going to discuss the worst thing to involve an unexpected truck stop since Reginald Denny decided not to turn on his CB radio during the LA riots. Silent Hill Origins. I would point out that this game is also known as Silent Hill Zero in certain territories, but that would imply that anyone other than myself actually knew that this pointless portable prequel to the previously primordial Silent Hill existed in the first place. Why do they call it Silent Hill Zero, you ask? Well, because that's about how many copies is sold if you try rounding up. More people have successfully sucked their own dicks while rolling downhill than have played this Silent Hill, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. In this Silent Hill Tracy Morgan Must Die edition, players experience the incredibly blurry hallucinations of a high school dropout who huffed the fumes of one too many of his own trucker bombs after a fateful rest stop at an all-night Chipotle and hummus buffet, then jackknifes his rig to a screeching halt the moment he spots some unattended teenage tail on the turnpike, in hopes that, as a hitchhiker, she'll follow the golden rule of paying for her ride with ass, cash, or grass. Unfortunately for our friendly neighborhood little sister Fister with a blister on his jister, despite his best efforts to push past a younger incarnation of Dahlia Gillespie that is in the initial stages of transforming from an oddly modern single mother thought to the batshit crazy gypsy we all know and think about from time to time in the shower, on his warpath for that sweet passenger seat meat, he winds up running into a burning building and cornering Alessa after she's already been blacked, and no amount of passive-aggressive social pressure from her friends or the liberal media will ever trick a white man into touching her again. You hear that, Samantha? Take that fruit bat-looking unwanted burden of yours, and stop showing up at my parents' place at 3 in the morning, crying about how, if I was the real man, I'd stick with you no matter how many misbegotten mulatto mongoloids you've been hiding in the cupboard under the stairs every time I come over to blast a couple pints of my tantalizingly tepid testicular tapioca all over your Pravon for Trayvon tramp stamp and LeVar Burton bedsheets, and goddamn, that probably should have been a sign of things to come rather than just of things to come on, but I digress. Having overdosed on second-hand melanin harder than Nicole Simpson, our lascivious lover of little ladies and lot lizards alike loses consciousness, then awakes outside a hospital, like some of the fat women I kidnap have a fateful encounter with in the alley behind the Fuddruckers, but realize all too late that they're just too abundant with a beautiful bounty of booty baggage to fit through the side door of my mama's Astrovan, and harvest their B-flips to tan and use as decorative belts instead. This dangerous proximity to socialized medical care corrupts our hero's mind, and as a result, he embarks on an epic 3-hour-long search for Alyssa instead of just leaving town and pumping off in the cab of his truck while driving past the playground like most big riggers do instead. Throughout this Odyssean ordeal, our tenacious trucker Travis Grady, whose name is fittingly enough an anagram for Travis Grady, utilizes his innate skills as white trash to steal household items like televisions, mayonnaise jars, and the basic components needed to make meth in his kid's bathtub, in order to better smash those items over the heads of his enemies. Though those breakable melee items help mix up the usual stale combat of the series, enemies will leg lock onto you faster than a bitch who found out you have money. The cooter stomps needed to finish them off often fails to trigger, and Travis lacks common sense quips like saying, "You're toast," when killing something with a toaster, or yelling, "Ooga booga, where the white women at?" while chucking the spear, as you bare-knuckle brawl AI-devoid enemies that walk directly into your fists faster than Anderson Cooper on date night, or blast them from across the map harder than a hooker who was hired for a cartographers and bukkake enthusiasts convention. You'll almost feel guilty. That is, until you realize that these low-poly poltergeists should have known better than to fuck with a man who regularly shits in a spackle bucket while driving 90 miles per hour through rush-hour traffic. Within the walls of Alchemelia Hospital, well, within the 2 floors that the developers bothered to render, that is, Travis encounters a slightly younger Dr. Kaufman, whom is apparently performing back-alley gynecology exams on the side, much as I used to do before the police and my patients caught on, and Lisa the Plainful, who the developers seem to confuse with Maria from Silent Hill 2, since she now seems bent on tempting Travis to hate fuck her on the floor whenever they talk. These fan-fiction-level bastardizations appear sporadically throughout the game to provide the most basic breadcrumbs trail of a plot for Travis to follow, since he would have no idea where to go and no motivations to remain in town otherwise. These anthropomorphized plot points have no personal journey or connection to the game, save for the developers plainly pointing out the previously only hinted at aspect that they were fucking on the down low in exchange for drugs. As we all do from time to time, I'm not too proud to admit. It's the equivalent of making a prequel to Star Wars Episode 1 and having the protagonist accidentally stumble upon Senator Palpatine, Force lightning finger-banging Shmi Skywalker, then running off the moment she mentions feeling a tinge of miraculous Force-induced pregnancy coming on. But Disney wouldn't do something that stupid, right? Right? After fighting a lying figure recycled from Silent Hill 2, that's been propped up as a boss because the developers were too busy snorting their budget off of Maria Daikamura to design something new, Travis encounters yet another original character, Do Not Steal, in the form of not Pyramid Head, who splits bitches up the middle almost as hard as I do once the Jenkem kicks in. Now I know what many of you at home are thinking. Rosie O'Donnell is butch, but personally, I think this monster is a little butcher. A weak attempt at drawing parallels between Travis and the Butcher is made, and frankly, falls flatter than the quality of this game's textures. The writing is overall suspect. When Travis arrives at the nut hut where his mother tried to strangle him as a child, or the hotel where his father offed himself after offing his awful offal all over his hostile sofa, and is then forced to fight monstrous versions of them both, he doesn't even flinch. Alex Shepard from the much beleaguered Silent Hill Homecoming has a similar moment where he's forced to put his parents down quickly or let them suffer some horrific otherworldly punishment, and you can tell that it fucks with his head. In Origins, it's like Travis knows he's in a video game and just wants to get it over with as badly as the player. Now, I'm not saying it's all bad news. The meat and potatoes of the game are competent, and by the time you seal up the cultist degenerate fur fag god in a whack-ass crystal prison, you'll have barely felt like you've wasted your time. To that point, the puzzles of Silent Hill 0 take the form of convoluted fetch quests that probably should have incorporated visual themes relevant to Travis's personal traumas, like his psychotic mother's padded cell, his manic depressed father's suicide, or getting a blowjob through a hole in a cinder block wall behind a truck stop and noticing all too late the mustache hairs intertwining with his pubes, but involve collecting random items and come off as generic time fillers instead. Perhaps the greatest departure from the franchise's once renowned ability to tie everything together thematically are the magical mirrors that can transport Travis instantly to Silent Hill's oppressively oblique otherworld, and back whenever he wishes, but not allow him to see his own beehole, no matter how hard he tries. This takes the oh shit factor of stumbling into the otherworld out of the equation, and jumping back and forth just becomes a hassle. And I wouldn't mind so much if the payoff wasn't so underwhelming. Having completed a convoluted laundry list of events that lead up to Silent Hill 1, much in the same way that a guy eating a meatball sub while shitting in the bushes on the side of Elm Street Daily Plaza in Dallas, Texas at 12:29 on Friday, November 22nd, 1963, technically led up to Lee Harvey Oswald's super sweet 360 no-scope, our video game equivalent of a mid-season anime filler ancillary protagonist suddenly realizes that he has no real reason to be in Silent Hill in the first place, and unceremoniously returns to his jury routine of transporting underage Mexican love slaves to the secret basement below CNN headquarters. He's never heard from again save for a brief cameo in Silent Hill Homecoming, and you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who's played the game and felt anything for the guy. Harry, James, Heather, and even Henry went through ordeals and personal journeys that have stuck with fans to this day, and frankly, the mildly forgettable nature of Origins was an unheeded sign of worse things to come. Well, That's it for today's video. If you liked it, you should probably share it with a friend while it's still available on YouTube. Then utilize the links provided in the description of this video to join my Discord so that you can receive alerts for when I live stream, since YouTube never does. Toss a buck at me on Patreon in exchange for a vote on which game or topic I'll make my next scripted video about. Check out one of my original ebooks, paperbacks, and audiobooks for a heart-healthy chuckle, or you can do your part to end the demonetization and demonization of conservative voices on YouTube by spreading rumors that BuzzFeed is hosting a Draw Muhammad contest, and wait for the problem to solve itself. Until then, thanks for your time and goodbye!